everyone. I'm gonna just quickly check that everything is working to avoid having the same glitch as last time. Thank you so much for being here. I am so glad to hold this third masterclass in a row. Thank you for joining me here. I'm Lena. I'm so excited for this opportunity to share everything that I'm learning with you. Um, so I just quickly took the volume off from YouTube so we can follow through. And right now I will be sharing my screen with you so that hopefully you can follow with me. Just a sec. Okay, not this one, that one will work better. Yes, here we go, sharing this very first masterclass about a specific topic. Like there has been two in the past. The first one was aiming at recharging rituals, helping you recover your energy back to be able to pull through life's hassles. This new one, the second one, sorry, was about productivity hacks inspired from my experience as an agile coach and a project manager and a freelancer before I started mentoring. And now, this new opportunity for me is to share with you something that has been really a game changer to me, which is how to unlock your mental, physical, but also emotional potential as a high sensitive overachiever through science. And I'll explain how in a bit. So, you know that, or maybe you are just finding out about me, I don't know. My purpose, my why, my reason for being here today is that I aim at helping highly sensitive overachievers who have been dealing with burnout once. I hope no more than once, to be able, after maybe therapy or the first survival phase, to recover in a more sustainable way. That's really my big why. The idea is, and that's probably the questions you should be asking yourselves if you're here tonight, is to know whether this is the right place for you. Are you someone who's constantly overwhelmed? Are you crushing under the weight of chronic stress day after day? Do you have a hard time? Is it complicated for you, exhausting maybe for you to say no, to put boundaries in your personal, professional lives? If you're a freelancer or an entrepreneur, sometimes the lines get blurred, so it's even more complicated to be able to set healthy boundaries. Do you get exhausted, tired? Are you constantly trying to be this A type who seeks perfection, the dots on the I's and the bars on the T's? And do you plan to avoid failure at all costs, including the one of your health? Does it take the backseat in your life? And do you often feel alone or completely isolated or lost? Do you feel like people don't get you? Well, if you've been struggling with some of these challenges, then yes, I guess this is the right place for you to be. Just so you know, us highly sensitive overachievers, so whether we're entrepreneurs or we're in the corporate world, we tend to be more prone to burnout, much more prone to burnout. Why? Because we deeply process everything, every stimulation, whether it is lighting, sound, social interaction, harsh fabrics, harsh lights. It can be a lot for us to deal with. If you add to that the challenges, the specific challenges that you can have as an entrepreneur, especially if you're just getting started or if you're pivoting into something new, that can be a lot. So the purpose with my series of masterclass is to help you be gaining more awareness around this sensitive topic. Because when you know how your brain is wired, how and why it is so much more affected by stress than other people, which can explain why sometimes you feel a bit isolated or misunderstood, well, that will help us recognize the symptoms of burnout coming back. Because sometimes, yes, even if we've dealt with it before and we think that, okay, I've done that, I've been there, I'm fine now. Well, sorry, the bad news is that you don't get immune to burnout because you caught it once. It's not a vague sign. If you're not cautious, if you don't put up the right strategies, you might fall in this trap over and over again. So, just to give you a quick reminder of what burnout might look like some of the most common symptoms we tend to ignore, unfortunately, especially if we work in a highly competitive environment. Feeling drained, like zero energy as you wake up, not being able to cope. The smallest thing that you are being asked to do, the smallest tasks, feels like too much. Sleeplessness, having this hyper vigilant brain that will make you wake up over the smallest sound or just because the brain monkey keeps on processes the information. Feeling, without putting a specific explanation behind that, sad, angry, irritable, or just not caring, feeling completely emotionally numb. And the risk is then we tend to get to use some substances to get distracted that can lead to even further complications like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. So basically, what we end up is because we're getting sick and we don't seek the right strategies to recover from it permanently, then we make ourselves even more sick. And that's the biggest danger in burnout. Why would you listen to me? Well, unfortunately for me, fortunately for you, I've been there and I've done that. I had to face burnout not once, not twice, but three times over my life, in very different environments, in big companies where when you leave before 7, 8 p.m., people ask you if you're taking the afternoon off. But I've also worked in small and medium enterprises. I've also worked in startups where it was so cool. We had so many most unconventional ways to blow off steam and connect and talk things. So actually, it made me realize the problem is not so much the structures. Most of the time, it's how we tend to respond. And so it took me three burnouts over 10 years, uh, a bad foot injury leading to surgery, to take a honest look in the mirror and realize that, yes, there are triggering things in these environments I've mentioned, but part of the problem came from me. Why? Because I didn't put up with the right strategies. Instead, I tried to blend in and act like everyone else, even though my brain was working differently, which, to be completely honest, I wasn't aware of at the time. So I completely understand how hard it can be to balance a meaningful career when you're someone driven, someone ambitious, someone who wants to make a difference, with this highly sensitive, overachieving trait that we have. And so, after going to cognitive behavioral therapy to get out of burnout for about 6 months, and I am again so ever grateful for the therapist that helped me understand myself and identify as both an ADHD and a highly sensitive person. I've decided to take things into my own hands more sustainably. So, therapy helped me cure my mind, but my emotions, my body were still pretty fragile, to be completely honest. And so I've spent countless hours over meditation. Now I meditate twice a day, so most of the time as I wake up and right before I go to sleep. But if for some reason I skip either of them, I catch up within the day, even for a few minutes, but we'll discuss it further down the road. I've also been reading for countless hours books, blogs, newsletters about neuroscience, self-help, energy recovery methods, and discovered along the way what does and does not work for me. Because to be honest, not everything will have the same impact for all of us. And today, my purpose is basically to share with you my own experience, to see if there's something that can be a game changer, hopefully, for you guys. So, what's so specific about this masterclass? Let me start by sharing this wonderful quote I came across while preparing it with you or for you. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you repeat a particular thought or action, you reinforce a neural pathway. And with each new thought, you begin to create a new way of being. That's what we call the Hebbian learning rule. So basically, anything that we tend to do on a daily basis, anything we tend to think on a daily basis, or to say, to tell ourselves on a daily basis, is going to completely rewire, redesign how our brain processes things. And that's why prolonged stress can lead to deep changes in how our brain functions. It can even reduce our prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, which means that basically, sorry for the expression, we F up our memory and our emotional regulation. So, stress was supposed to be a survival response. The cortisol that gets into our body was meant to help the adrenaline kick in during our hunter gatherer days to help us fight or flight, flee, if we were faced with immediate danger leading to death. Today, what's happening is that every time we have this 300 email at the end of the day, this to-do list that keeps on increasing and increasing like Sisyphus, we process it as the same stress as what we needed to do for survive. The difference is that we have developed the bad habit of constantly being in survival mode, and that's causing huge, tremendous harm and complete, again, structural change in our physical state, for our immune system, but also for our mental health. And that's why I hope that through this masterclass, I can share a few tips with you guys to be able to iteratively, step by step, I want to say baby step by baby step, shape things and shift things around. So I came up with this funny play on words while thinking about a simple way to help you process the information, and I'd like to call it the K.E.Y.S framework. So what do these keys will help you unlock? Hopefully, by the end of this masterclass that I kind of see like a journey into self-discovery and self-empowerment for you, I would like you to go away with three main goals. The first is to teach you how to develop personal stress management strategies. So, for example, let's be smart about those goals that we want to put into our work. Let's say that 1 week from now, so we're the 21st today, so the 28th, you would be following this masterclass or maybe watching the replay, able to identify your top three triggers, what brings stress into your life, and figure out how to implement at least two tailored stress reduction techniques. It could be meditation, it could be structured breaks. In my last masterclass, I've mentioned the Pomodoro method that helps you basically take a 5-minute break after working for 25 minutes with hyper focus. It could be digital detox, maybe cutting down your social media time or email tracking 1 hour a day. And the idea is to figure out how to be able to measure it. So either using an app or by putting a specific time in your calendar, try and see how good you are with it. And if during those days there's one day where you skip it, it's all right. You just have to start over. The second goal of this masterclass, the second thing I would like for you to be your key takeaway, is help you master boundaries. Boundary settings for work and life harmony. I've mentioned it before. It's completely and one of the toughest things for highly sensitive people because we tend to be, shocker, people pleasers. we are so sensitive, so empathic to how people feel that we tend to put ourselves in second, third, or sometimes even last place. So I would like you to learn the art of saying the hardest word, sorry, in the English dictionary. No. I know it sounds easy. It's the easiest to pronounce, however, it's the hardest to put into practice. So let's take it as a game, you guys, so that there's no guilt involved, no stress involved around it. Let's say that we identify at the end of the masterclass, like you take maybe 15 minutes after this masterclass or the next day for introspection, and you identify one thing, just one specific area of your life where you want to set an example or a role model for your inner child and set a clear boundary between, let's say, work and personal life. So it's an invitation. It doesn't have to be mandatory. But let's say that for 30 days, you choose one area of your life where you learn to say no. For example, I have in my last endeavors as a consultant, I have learned to say no to meetings Monday morning and Friday afternoon. It sounds silly, but it has completely turned things around for me. Why? Because anytime I had meetings on Monday morning, Sunday evening, I would already be overworked about it, thinking, did I prepare everything? Did they send something over the weekend? Is there this? Is there that? So much overthinking going on. So basically, sleepless night. Friday afternoon. Why say no to the Friday afternoon? Because after a whole week of being so focused, I was not so efficient anymore. I just needed to prepare for what was expecting me the next week. So anytime I would have a meeting, it would take me so much effort to stay focused and to bring up the benefits of it. And I realized it was the same also for my colleagues. So why put ourselves through this pain when we could say that, as a rule of thumb, if we are to ever have a meeting on a Friday, it's in the morning, never in the afternoon. Third takeaway I would like for you after this masterclass: enhance your self-care with at least one sustainable routine, something that works for you. It can be regular exercise, it can be healthier eating. It doesn't have to be perfect the whole time. A Pareto of 80 to 20 is perfectly fine. The idea is to commit to whatever you put into place for at least 21 days, which is the time that we need, that our brain needs for any habit to be implemented. So let's start with the first key, K as know and knowing your brain. So that's where I will try and stitch things around with neuroscience. So earlier I told you how, as highly sensitive people, especially if we're overachievers, we tend to be much more fragile, much more likely to suffer from burnout. Well, research, the good news, however, there is some hope for us. That research has shown that up to half of our happiness is determined by genetics. But the other half is determined, influenced by our actions, our thoughts, our attitudes. So basically, we got the power to turn the tables around and to make things work in our favor. Why is it so important? Is because us, again, highly sensitive people, we tend to dance around the dose, like you know, our depth of processing that I mentioned earlier, the overwhelm that we have to go through because of this depth of processing, the empathy and sensory subtle cue. So basically, we connect so much to other people. We want to do everything to make them feel happy. Their pain is our pain. I don't know for you guys if it happened to you or with someone, you were in a fantastic mood and you're sitting next to someone who is feeling down. After a few minutes, you will feel just as down. And it's not a competition for attention. It's because that's how empathic we are, which tends to push us into the edge of wearing the savior cape, and wanting to do so much for everyone. The problem is that we are not machines, and even machine needs some rest. We are human, and we are very sensitive humans. So the fact that we have this superpower connecting to others is great. Huge levels of oxytocin for us, but it means that when not managed properly, our dopamine, our motivation hormone, our serotonin, our pain management hormone, and our endorphin can take a toll. So what's important to remember, I said earlier how stress was a response that we have inherited back from the days where we were gatherers and hunters. Well, dopamine, this amazing neurotransmitter, actually can help us. Why? Because it's something that is completely related to our instincts, again, our fight, flight, or freeze mode. But, and here comes the gem, I have discovered through all the countless hours of reading I mentioned earlier that 95%, so basically almost all the serotonin that we have inside of us, is created, guess where? In our gut. So that means that everything that's communicated to our brain via the vagus nerve, again, the fight, flight, or freeze mode, is directly linked to what we put inside ourselves. So, how to know if your serotonin is in check? If you feel low energy, low mood, low vibes, if you feel irritable, so anything basically makes you snap, there you got it. You know that your serotonin is low. And guess what? Low serotonin means high levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. And again, if you remember the first symptoms I was describing, it's a big telltale on burnout happening or burnout on the verge of happening. And why it's so important for us to understand that and figure out and recognize those signs is because that's how we can basically be able to be super vigilant, super aware when our recovery knows ups and downs, and be able to put up the right system to make this recovery happen with resilience sustainably. So, how can we improve or uplevel our serotonin? Lifestyle. That's easy, guys. First things first, one of the most important and less looked after aspects is our sleep, not having just some sleep, but being able to prioritize it enough to set up the right environment to be able to enjoy, experiments, deep sleep. Sunlight, a huge game changer for me was when I started nurturing the habit of exposing myself to sunlight or daylight if you're not in a sunny region in the first 30 minutes of waking up. Breathwork. I've done a couple of demos in the past master classes. I think I will end this one with a breathwork session, but learning, knowing how to breathe mindfully using our nose rather than our mouth has a huge effect on regulating our vagus nerve and being able to help us increase our serotonin levels. And this is wonderful for us highly sensitive people who love it, basking in nature anytime we can, every chance we get, at least once in the weekend. And possibly if you have, I don't know, a garden, a park, a river, anything near your work or life place, being able to, again, having a walk, ideally, if the weather allows it, with your shoes, taking your shoes off and just walking barefoot in nature. It's called earthing, and it's basically recharges us completely. The second key I would like to focus on is E, as in embrace your trait, your hypersensitivity, your high sensitivity. And this one is directly linked with biohacking. So, what's biohacking? It's basically how to optimize the way our brain works, functions, to build this mental resilience that I have been mentioning before. It doesn't have to be complicated, really. I know the word sounds like it, but it just means, again, because it's linked once more to serotonin, improving, updating, up-leveling your lifestyle so that it can have a better impact on your overall well-being. Let me share a few strategies and actionable tips for you. So for sleep, for example, not drinking water after 8 p.m. to avoid waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and hence risking cutting your sleep as you're in the middle of the peak phase of it. For sleep as well, thinking about dimming lights before bed, at least 1 hour before, to promote the melatonin production, and cutting screens as early as possible. So latest 30 minutes before. You can also, and it's for someone who tends to be able to fall asleep easily, but who sometimes struggles to stay asleep, something that works wonders is both hypnotherapy. You have wonderful apps that can guide you into falling back into sleep, or white noise, because it provides a stable environment and it's very, very grounding for our nerves. Coming back to the lifestyle, what we put into our gut, our second brain, as it's called, well, it's how to put in healthier foods and drinks. Again, we don't have to be healthy 100% of the time. If it's going to be stress-inducing, then no. But we have to tend to make it a default choice to go for the healthy options, so that if sometimes we want to indulge ourselves, it's fine, it remains an exception. So what can help make these exceptions easier to handle is also giving an extra help by taking probiotics or adaptogens to support our gut. This has been shown in research that it has a paramount influence on both our mood and stress response. So think anything fermented, from sauerkraut to kimchi. Think ginger, think curcumine. Think also all the Ayurvedan powders such as ashwagandha, triphala, all the nootropics that you can put in. Basically, food is medicine. So by spotting the ones that have been used for millennia as ways to prevent getting sick and incorporating them back into our daily lives, eating legumes, going for a variety of seasoned vegetables and fruits for each meal, chewing. That's also an important one, because sometimes I've seen so many of my colleagues eating in a few minutes in front of their computer. Well, yes, we give ourselves the nutrients, but we do not give ourselves the right environment to make the best of those nutrients. So mindful eating without any distraction, and remembering to chewing, ideally about 15 chews if you're eating vegetables or fruits, and 20 to 30 chews per bite every time you're processing, I don't know, meat, chicken, or fish. And exercising it, be it mindful walking, or be it training at least 3 to 4 times a week, ideally every day, even for a small time. So basically, being active helps us process all our emotions, and helps us also get some endorphins every time that we get this workout gone. Why? The third key is for yearning for growth, and this one involves neuroplasticity. What's neuroplasticity? It's basically all the things that we can do to change how our brain functions, to hack basically our brain. And more specifically, it's not the things we do so much as the thing that we learn. So it's being in a permanent learning state, student state. Why is it so important? First, I don't know about you, but I've read so much about the difference between fixed mindset, growth mindset, blah, blah, blah. What's the big difference? Fixed mindset whenever something happens, whenever we're faced with a challenge or a change in our lives, the first reflex would be to complain and feel like a victim. The growth mindset takes the opposite way. It tries to analyze and understand and see not so much a silver lining every time, but figure out how to turn the situation into a silver lining, how to turn crisis into opportunity. And instead of being in a position where we judge ourselves, the environment, other people, the idea here is to be more resilient to stress and adversity by seeing how we might use it as a learning opportunity. So, the idea to implement growth into our daily lives, no matter what we have to deal with, is to make ourselves learn something new every day or do something in a new way every day. It can be learning a new language, a musical instrument, engaging in more strategic games like chess. But it can be also smaller challenges, like if you're right handed, try and learn how to brush your teeth with your left hand. If you're someone who sleeps always on the right side of the bed, try to sleep on the opposite, so the left side for a while. If I don't know, I know one of my colleagues told me that during the lockdown in COVID, she actually learned how to walk on her hands. So basically, put yourself, and by yourself, I mean your brain and your body, in the position of learning or discovering something or a new way of doing something every day. And that will help your brain not only stay healthy, but improve your focus, your memory, and basically restore what has been challenged by burnout. I've been listening today to a very interesting interview between Jim Quick and Eliza Fisher, and one sentence that really struck my mind, one affirmation, was that after a trauma, and burnout is one of them, as you know, but after any trauma we face in life, we commonly talk about the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress, and how hard it is and how it sticks with us. And it has been shown that it's true, it sticks with us even in a cellular level. But what we don't speak enough about is that, yes, we might suffer from PTSD, but along the way, we can always, and if we manage, once we've recovered, of course, not we're in the midst of it, to take a step back, we can also go or leave the trauma with a post-traumatic growth, a way to see that what happened to me was horrific, was hard, was unbearable, but I've survived it. And now that I have processed the pain, now that I feel better, what did it teach me? What did it teach me about how strong or stronger than I thought I am? What did it teach me about how solution oriented I am? What did it teach me about how creative, how resilient I am? And the idea is from then to be able to practice this approach and to learn how to set the proper goals to make growth a permanent process. So I know most of you have heard about the SMART way of setting goals. So the goals have to be small, measurable, achievable, realistic, time related. All this is fine, of course, and necessary. But again, Jim Quick, I just love this neuroplasticity guru, has in his work and in his latest book spoken about a different framework that I have been engaging or dabbling with, and has been I really have been happy with the results. And it's called Win. So it's great. You start by wanting to win something. It's a good start to set up some goals. And basically, the framework Win is about first identifying your why you want to set the goal. Because if you do it for someone else or without being completely aware of the reasons, there's a big fat chance that at the first hiccup, you're going to find an excuse and just poof, stop there. The I in win is about in it. Is it something that you're good at or that you're likely to become good at? That's going to become an intrinsic motivator, the mastery behind it, that will want to strive despite the hardship. And the last one is now, is to start right now. So it's this phrase you find everywhere about day one instead of one day. It is totally true. The more you delay, the higher is the likelihood of procrastination taking on. So try and start right away. Remember to stay motivated, to celebrate all the small victories along the way, all the micro-bited subtasks and sub-goals, and be grateful for every time that you have tried. And what can help to sustain those new goals into daily practices that will enhance positive change in your brain is both showing up consistently. That's our last key that I'll be talking about next. And being accountable. And if it's hard for you to be accountable on your own, to take ownership rather than find excuses, maybe find yourself an accountability buddy, like the same kind of person that you would go to the gym with and you would feel bad about not going just because today you're tired. Well, maybe you can find yourself someone accountable for the goals you're setting, either someone who's going through the same path, that would be, of course, even more empowering, or just someone who knows you well enough to see through your BS and not let you off the hook so easily. So, our last key, the S, showing up for yourself, making yourself a priority. It's a necessary, it's the most perhaps important component for sustainable achievement, um, and succeeding into preventing burnout or the risk to falling back into burnout. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you've given it your all, you're not going to be able to be of much help to anyone, not even to yourself through your work. So keep in mind that self-care is not selfish, it's survival. But then after survival, the idea is to be able to enjoy life once again. So that's why I'm inviting you to discover and then focus your energy, basically prioritize an environment that's aligned with your very specific needs, whether that's a peaceful home or desk, whether it is a supportive work culture. So maybe if you're in a toxic one, now is the time to question whether or not it has been serving you, or being part of a community of like-minded individuals. It can be also what you can do outside work, and to be able to nurture it and thrive from it. What I strongly invite you to do is to build this supportive system by detoxing or Marie Kondoing your life. So, who brings me joy in my life? At work, um, at my hobbies, at my with my family. Who are the people who nurture me, who make me feel good just by seeing them? They're like a sunbeam. I feel recharged. I feel happy. I feel I'm on top of the world. And those people, I have to make it a priority in my calendar to see them on a more regular basis, consistently, at least once a week. And if it's not possible to see them, at least to have a call, a text, something, but to be able to nurture my energy with their energy. And at the opposite, who are the, sorry for the expression, the vampires, the emotional vampires, the people who suck basically the life out of me? And how can I minimize interaction with them to basically be able to sustain my energy? And the practical step to get there are again the boundaries, saying no to something or someone about something that you are not feeling comfortable with is actually saying yes to someone else that brings you joy or something else that will help you thrive. So basically, every time it's hard for you to say no, picture that if you say yes right now, what are you going to be saying no to? What are you going to be preventing yourself from enjoying? And it doesn't have to be harsh, and you will see with practice that actually people will respect you more for saying yes when you actually mean it, rather and no when you don't want it, rather than doing things out of obligation and feeling drained or being pouty about it, because they can sense it. And yes, there are people who tend, maybe unconsciously, to overindulge with you because you often say yes. But the day you start telling them no, and no, by the way, it's a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself. And if it's hard to say to some people that are so used to you saying yes all the time, why not just ask for some time? You know what? Let me think about it and call you back or get back at you. And this way, maybe give yourself some time to process it and be sure to say no when you mean no, and say yes only when you have the mental, physical, and emotional energy, and that it has a meaning, again, that it makes sense for you to be saying yes to this. What can help you also nurture this boundary setting is being at ease, because we're weaker when we're tired. I know. So schedule maybe time for relaxation, like the same way you schedule time for going to making a doctor appointment or going to the gym or whatever. Maybe put in your calendar some specific recovery time, whether it is to just sleep or to be in nature or to do any activity that brings you joy. And once you have your calendar with your priorities straight, with your relaxing time that has been scheduled, you will see how easier it will get to say no to anything that can put at risk this beautiful new balance that you have set for yourself. So now what? We're getting to the end of this masterclass. To sum it up, I would like for you to take some time, depending on your time zone, either today or the next day, to try and write down or draw as a mind map, whatever works for you, your key takeaways from this masterclass, or maybe your key takeaway, the one thing that you want to put in place or that has been triggering or, I don't know, thought provoking for you. And after that, remember to take it one step at a time. There are no shortcuts for a sustainable recovery process, but it's very hard to make anything sustainable if you spread yourself thin. So, what's one thing you can do right now, one immediate action step that you could implement within the next 24 hours to biohack your brain into being more resilient? Is it setting a bedtime routine that will help improve your sleep quality? Is it preparing more nutritious meals? And then the step before that would be to have a grocery list where you plan for these adaptogens, these probiotics, all those things that will make it easier for you to go to healthier drinking and eating options. Is it setting up 10 minutes a day to meditation or breath work? And how will you keep yourself accountable? Will you put it in your calendar and check it off your list every day? Or will you need an accountability buddy to do that? I don't know. You tell me. So before we leave, and maybe, yeah, just in case you want, because I've been mentioning a few references across this masterclass, feel free to DM me for the books, apps, podcasts, or easy exercises that I have been mentioning or more. I'd be happy to talk to you about the dose, about limitless, mind valley shows, and so many more. But for now, just for now, I'd like to close this masterclass and this masterclass with a breathwork exercise. So I will invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and completely empty your lungs through your mouth. And now we will slowly take a deep breath in in 3 times. Hold for the count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Before we breathe out slowly through our lips for 4 times. And now I will experiment with you something I used to do when I meditated. So I will invite you to have your thumb and small finger up and put down all the other fingers, and maybe close your right nostril, with your thumb. This way you might open your eyes for just this first round, and take a slow deep breath through your left nostril and breathe out through your left nostril again. Now we'll switch to our baby finger to close our left nostril and breathe from our right nostril. And breathe out from our right nostril. Let's switch again. Thumb on our right nostril to breathe in from the left one. And then breathe out still with the left nostril. We'll breathe in from our left nostril. Close it down with our baby finger and breathe out with our right nostril. Breathe in through our right nostril again. Close it with our thumb and breathe out through our left nostril. One last round, we will breathe in with our left nostril. Close it. And then breathe out with our right nostril. And now I will invite you to take a deep, slow breath with both nostrils, trying to fill your diaphragm, to expand your lungs and your belly as much as you can. And let it all out with a very loud sigh. I would like to know if you guys have any questions you'd like to share with me. Let me check with you guys. Just a sec. I don't see any questions coming in. Let me check all the chats. None for now, that's okay. So I would like to thank you for attending this masterclass. If you'd like to know more about how us sensitive overachievers can drive impact and thrive in harmony with our innate abilities, I'll get there. Please feel free to reach out by DM. We can totally set up a 30-minute call to get to discuss it. And this way I can tell you a bit more about the Golden Synergy Blueprint, my 3 phases program to help you decode your sensibility with the right keys, find out how to be grounded in your growth and find strategic serenity, and of course, design together tailored regenerative routines for your sustainable success. Have a wonderful day or night, depending on your time zone. And thank you so much for attending this live masterclass that has reached its end. Bye!